They just gave $2 billion of your tax money to a group with no experience, $100 in the bank, and Stacey Abrams on the payroll. And they expect you not to notice? Let me show you exactly how this scam went down.
State in the country to live in. In October of 2022, during another Georgia gubernatorial debate, Ms. Abrams accused the sheriffs, all of the sheriffs in Georgia who endorsed her opponent, Governor Brian Kemp, of wanting, quote, to be able to take black people off the streets. In October of 2022, Ms. Abrams appeared on MSNBC. She suggested that abortion is a solution to inflation. Here's what she said. She said, quote, let's be clear. Having children is why you're worried about your price of gas. It's why you're worried about how much food costs, close quote. Her words, not mine. Let me say again, Ms. Abrams has the right to her opinion. This is America. You're not free if you can't express yourself. But I do think any fair-minded person would have to conclude that Ms. Abrams is controversial. So, in March of 2023, not that long ago, Ms. Abrams went to work for an organization, a nonprofit, called Rewiring America. You've probably seen that name in the news. Rewiring America. Ms. Abrams' title, she went to work for Rewiring America, her title was Senior Counsel. She was paid for her work for Rewiring America. We don't know how much, though there'll probably be an investigation to find out. Now, nonprofits like Rewiring America, Ms. Abrams' group, they have to file documents with the IRS. And one of the documents they have to file is called Form 990. This form by the IRS asks a number of questions about nonprofits. One of the questions the IRS asks is where it is for the organization, the nonprofit, to list its accomplishments. Rewiring America, Ms. Abrams' group, told the IRS in 2023 on this Form 990 that Rewiring America was, quote, this was Rewiring America's, quote, startup year for the organization. And the form goes on to say that the only accomplishment Rewiring America listed was that it had, quote, joined a coalition of other national organizations to apply for a grant from the Inflation Reduction Act's Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. In other words, Ms. Abrams' organization told the IRS that this filing was their first ever tax filing in 2023, that the organization was a startup, and its purpose was exclusively to seek a grant from President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. Fair enough. So what do we know about this coalition that Ms. Abrams' group wanted to form? Rewiring America, Ms. Abrams' group, announced on October 12, 2023, that it was joining Habitat for Humanity, it was joining United Way Worldwide, and two other organizations. And these four organizations were going to form another nonprofit, a coalition of nonprofits called Power Forward Communities. So you've got Power Forward Communities up here, you've got Rewiring America and some other organizations down here. And altogether they make up Power Forward Communities. And they also announced that a gentleman by the name of Tim Mayopoulos, a former Obama administration appointee, would lead the coalition. Now, as a nonprofit, I told you that Rewiring America had to file forms with the IRS. Well, so did this new group, Power Forward. It had to file Form 990 as well with the IRS. According to its filings, Power Forward had just $100 in total revenues in 2023. According to the IRS filing, it didn't list a single accomplishment. I've seen Girl Scout troops with more business credentials. Yet power-forward communities, of which Ms. Abrams' Rewiring America was a part, had the audacity to ask the federal government for a $2 billion grant. For what, you ask? It was supposed to be for, quote, to expand access to clean energy by prioritizing housing, equity, and resilience. Power-forward communities said it wanted to take this taxpayer money and help people install energy-efficient upgrades to their homes. What are we talking about? Heat pumps. Get rid of gas stoves. Now, it's good to dream big in America. I'm all for that. But under any reasonable standard, Mr. President, under any reasonable standard, one is entitled to ask how these organizations, Ms. Abrams' Rewiring America and Power Forward Communities, brand new organizations, no business experience, $100 in the bank, are qualified to receive $2 billion of taxpayer money from the Biden administration. Now, that didn't stop the Biden administration from cutting a check, though. They took our money and gave power-forward communities in Rewiring America $2 billion. You want to know how we ran up $36 billion in debt? That's how. Now, the EPA announced in 2024 under President Biden, just 6 months after Power Forward was formed. Power Forward was formed, and 6 months later, President Biden and his team announced they were giving them $2 billion, and that's, as I said, that's B with a billion. Now, look, I try to see the world from other people's bell towers as much as I can. But I cannot come up with, not for the life of me, with a single rational justification as to why the EPA under the Biden administration thought it was appropriate to give Power Forward and Rewiring America to brand new business, or brand new nonprofits with no business experience, no accomplishments according to the IRS forms, and only $100 in the bank to give them $2 billion of taxpayer money, especially to the exclusion of every other qualified applicant for that money, if there were any other qualified applicants. We don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there was a competitive bid. Now, I do know that the EPA, under President Biden, gave Ms. Abrams' group, her two groups, $2 billion cash. In the grant approval, President Biden's EPA said that Power Forward had to allocate this money to get rid of stoves and to put in heat pumps. They had to allocate the money. They had to spend it in 21 days. Now, that meant that Ms. Abrams' group, Rewiring America, which was part of the larger group, likely received or was supposed to receive a check for $490 million, about a quarter of the total $2 billion, by the end of May 2024. And the other organizations, within 21 days, President Biden directed, were also supposed to receive their share of the money. But get this. President Biden and his team directed these NGOs to distribute $2 billion in 21 days. But the Biden administration also told Power Forward within 90 days to go take a course. You know what the course was? The name of the course was How to Develop a Budget. How to develop a budget.
Welcome back to Jace Manhwa. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the truth they don't want you to hear. So, I just finished listening to Senator John Kennedy lay out one of the most outrageous examples of government waste I've ever heard. And let me tell you, if this doesn't make your blood boil, I don't know what will. This isn't some random oversight. This is a direct pipeline of your hard-earned taxpayer money to politically connected insiders. Here's what's going on. We have a $36.5 trillion national debt, growing at $10 billion every single day. That's $417 million every single hour. And instead of tightening belts, Washington is shoveling billions out the door for projects and organizations that wouldn't survive 5 minutes in the real business world. Senator Kennedy pointed out that President Trump, with Elon Musk helping uncover the rot, has been trying to cut through the garbage spending. And predictably, Washington insiders are screaming, not because taxpayer money is being abused, but because their gravy train is under threat. Musk found money going to teach Sri Lankan journalists to avoid gendered language, funding LGBT programs in Armenia, rebuilding Cuba's media ecosystem, and even paying for equity and inclusion programs in Nepal. Not exactly top priorities for struggling American families. But here's the big one. In 2024, under President Biden, the EPA handed out $2 billion to a brand new coalition called Power Forward Communities. One of its member groups? Rewiring America, where Stacey Abrams was serving as senior counsel. This group openly admitted in their IRS filings that 2023 was their startup year, with no accomplishments, none. They had $100 in revenue. Yet somehow, they get $2 billion of your money to push clean energy housing upgrades like heat pumps and banning gas stoves. It gets worse. The Biden administration gave them 21 days to spend the money, but 90 days to take a course on how to develop a budget. That's right. They had to learn how to make a budget after they already had the money. Can you imagine running your own household like that? You'd be bankrupt in a week. Kennedy's right. This looks like a political slush fund dressed up as an environmental grant. And while regular Americans are paying 20% more for groceries, gas, and electricity, Biden's EPA is rewarding politically connected activists with blank checks. This is why the debt keeps skyrocketing. This is why families are struggling while insiders get rich. And this is exactly why Trump's promise to review every penny of spending is so critical. We need to know where every dollar is going because clearly, Washington isn't going to tell us unless we force them to. If you think this kind of corruption needs to be exposed, share this video so more people know what's happening. Don't just get angry, get informed. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and join us at Manhwa as we keep uncovering what the mainstream media won't touch.